Where's Maurice? There he is. So we will start with appropriation ordinance number 1244.
Maurice, what's the carry out here? Pump and service?
So that would be the VFDs that the city talked about in the previous meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Arnold Group?
Arnold Group is the group that we do our pay plan with. So previously you agreed to have the 2 or 3 year extension and then just billing us now for it.
Sure. Who's the, what's the other group? Or the?
So health insurance?
Yeah.
Bill, Gavin's son, Rose, Gallagher Group. or whatever it
Gallagher,
is.
that's, okay. Right, got it. I got confused between the two.
I would move to approve appropriation ordinance number 1244 as presented.
We have a motion to approve appropriation ordinance number 1244 as presented. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. All right, appropriation ordinance number 1244 stands approved. Let's go on to the proposed minutes of the September 17th, 2024 regular meeting.
Mr. Randall, fine.
Not even any grammatical opinions. They passed your.
Seemed all right.
They look okay to me. All right, approve the agenda items to be added. Maurice, commissioners, anything to add to the agenda? Anyone need to add anything to the agenda? All right, let's move on. Regular business, A, VG Consultants, water sewer infrastructure, final design Lake lift station.
So prior to the regular meeting, there was a work session with BG Consultants to talk about the status of the water and sewer projects.
Yes.
Okay. If I outlined these earlier, we're looking for consensus for the BG to go out for bids for project 1A and coordinate that with City Hall. And so that'd just be soliciting bids and setting up a bid opening at a later time. That you could accept or reject them. Does that sound right? So is there consensus for that to happen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. They also updated us that there's something sewer plant on 10/15/24 PER. So that is still moving forward, that part of it. Also discussed a final design of what Pat calls a sewer interceptor, but we call the lift station situation. About doing the final design for that. He said that'd be $45,000. You can agree to have draw paperwork, or you can wait until after Thanksgiving and revisit it. And then, do you want to follow through on trying to find funding through the political method
Well, let's talk
and
about
bonds?
one at a time. As far as the $45,000 for the engineering for their report, I'd like to see us move forward on that portion. Get this thing going. If we can get KDHE funding, great. If we can't, then we have to go through private sector or another funding source. Yeah, 'cause I don't think prices are going down like we talked about. I don't think anything's going down in price. And I'd like to see us move forward, not wait. I mean, at least on that portion of it.
So you'd be asking them to draw up a contract for services for the final design, whatever you wanna call
Well,
it.
I don't know what the other commissioners'
So
thoughts
what
are.
would, can it explain again what exactly is falling under that design work? Is that just the sewer, or is that the sewer?
So this would just be for an interceptor line going from the Lakeview lift station to the academy.
But it would include replacing the lift station with a gravity drain. That's
The
that
lift
is the
station would
gravity
get
drain.
abandoned.
Okay, so, okay, the whole, not just,
So it's applications and bidding documents together for that part of the project.
And that's the $45,000 is for just that portion.
Yes.
You'd be asking them to put an agreement together for review. We wouldn't be approving it yet, but that's what you'd be asking them to do.
What is our, monthly service to the,
So there's no debt.
I know, but we're still,
We have a fund balance at the end of August of $333,000. That month, we spent more than we took in, by $10,000. Obviously, that's not always the case.
but how much are we effectively, putting in there?
Well, so the
Service the non-existent.
The sewer plant was set up, the rates were set up to collect $233,400 a year. And that's been in place, so that's why we have a fund balance of $333,000. Mike has $115,000 worth of stuff in front of you tonight, he just put out. For the sewer plant, so, but to answer your question, the money is there for the design, if you wanna pay cash for this fund, and not try to wait and tie it into some other method.
So we're essentially putting aside $19,400 a month to service the debt that we don't owe on it. So that's about 2 months worth, I think it's worth.
Yeah, it'd be about 2.5 months, a little over 2 months worth of.
And the services, it'll take a little longer than that to work through the whole process, so you won't have to pay that out in 2 or 3 months, it'll be longer.
Do you want a consensus or do you want to?
Well, so they'll just put an agreement together,
Yeah, okay.
and then you can approve that, and it'll be,
Okay,
and then we'll have to charge that to the budget authority, because that's how it works,
okay.
but that's not a problem. So, yes, please draw it up.
You sure you don't wanna vote on this, cause it puts me in kind of a.
If there's a consensus to have Pat draw that up, when you get the agreement in front of them, they're gonna have to vote on it.
Yeah,
They can't vote on something before it's in front of them, but they can have a consensus to have you get the bid document or the contract together.
That's what you were asking for, right? You said you'd bring back a proposal, or have it listed out.
No, I agree, I think Matt,
I think we're talking about spending $45,000,
That's the clearest way to say it, but,
maybe we should,
you can't approve a document that's not in front of you,
not approving the document, approving the.
to have them drawn up.
However,
I mean, if that-
you would make him
Is
comfortable.
that what you're looking at, Pat?
yeah, I just don't wanna put a document together without some pretty strong consent, and that's why I didn't bring the contract tonight, cause it's
So-
very laborsome to do that.
you're okay with putting the document together, Matt?
Yeah.
Chuck?
Yes.
Yes. So you got a majority, even if we have all 5 commissioners, you still got a majority. I think you sold us on.
That we will pay you if you bill us, assuming that you provide.
Now, these 2 guys, I don't know what, no. Okay, and then, the other portion was checking into,
About how to fund the water if
Oh,
we're
the
not,
water, yeah.
if we're not likely, and, cause they're gonna put some effort, right, on the bond side, or what do you reckon,
Well-
what's the status for that?
I think the status for that is, personally, if we are not, we're pretty convinced we're not gonna get that cheaper loan, we probably need to rethink, optimize the perfect size of the project and see if we can do it, but, find that sweet spot you were talking about, where, we get the efficiency of scale, but it's still somewhat affordable, one step at a time.
Yeah, if there's a dollar amount that you guys feel comfortable with doing,
Yeah, and I don't know what that is, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'd like a larger group here for that, but off the top of my head, I'm thinking
so,
they're probably gonna have to be smaller chunks of those priorities.
so typically, I believe if we would go out with private bonding, you would probably wanna go ahead and do the engineering first if you can. If you have enough funds to pay for that. Have a bid letting, get a really good number of where you're gonna be at, and then you would have the bond council draw up the bonds, and then they, basically, sell the bonds on the market, that's where you keep the best rate. So instead of me estimating what the project cost would be, wait till after you have a bid letting, and then you know what the cost is before you go out and
price in anticipation, we have $288,000 in cash in August.
Yeah, I would agree with Matt.
But we do have Project 1A to pay for when that comes time, we don't pay that in cash.
But I mean, my thought is that we might be able to do things like that, Project 1A size things, bit by bit.
Well, that's what we addressed earlier during the work session, and that each time we do that, there's a
Yeah, I know,
mobilization.
but
Where's the
it's a combination of
Yep.
finding just the right size, so I
Just
think that's
sweet spot,
gonna
like
involve
you said.
talking to Don, figure out exactly what he thinks are the no kidding highest priorities, and maybe with some consulting from you about
Sure.
how big is big enough without committing to multiple millions of dollars each time.
I know Don just left, but I think it's safe to assume that well 7 is high on his priority
Yeah,
list.
I believe it is. So, we videotaped it a couple years ago, and the comments at the time were, we hope it lasts
And so the pump,
3 years.
and then doing those crossings, you know, making sure that we have a good supply from the south to the north.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll-
So if the council wants to have another work session and really hammer out a next phase, maybe we could do that after we get the bids on this 1A project,
I would suggest we need to,
or sooner, or however fast you guys wanna go.
As far as timing goes, I'm very flexible, but I think you're right. I think we did focus, a work session that focuses just on these water projects. Do you wanna set that up now, or?
Got 200,
Yeah, we might wanna wait till the next meeting, I think, see what they want, if they can make a work session work.
All right,
Anything else, Maurice, that we need to?
now, so we got the consensus for the contract, the sewer interceptor, consensus to go out for bids for 1A, and we talked about the other stuff, so I don't think any other consensus we needed.
Maurice, I will send that electronically to you when I get it done.
Okay.
And I'm putting the contract together that will be consistent with the SRF funding, just in case.
okay.
It's a good idea to do it that way. It's quite a bit more work, but I think we need to do it that way. That way we don't have to come back and write another contract to comply with that.
Okay.
Was there an engineer's estimate for Project 1A?
don't remember it off the top of
I
my
mean,
head.
I don't remember, so if you have something like that, can you send that to me? 'Cause I'm getting ready, next meeting we have is, we have to do budget amendments, and, they have to go be approved the next meeting, they get published, and we have to have the hearing, and that number would be helpful.
Okay, I will get that to you.
Thank you.
One thing I did want to say, Mike and I were just talking about it, the 15th of this month, we're at a big
PER,
meeting.
PER thing.
Well, it won't be done, but our troops are coming with Mike, they have our MEP department and, Daniel are gonna be here, they'll probably be here quite a bit of the day, and that's the next council meeting. Now, there may be a brief, but they're gonna be doing field work that day. I will be there that night. I'll have previously written contracts, send it to Breeze, and then I'll come to your 15th meeting, to see if we can move that forward.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, is there any other items on the agenda you'd like Ryan and I to stay for?
No, unless you guys are interested in our traffic study.
Well, I think Jason Hoskinson from our transportation department has talked quite a few times about it.
Yeah.
Um,
But no, I think that's it, guys.
I can't believe you'd wanna leave though, really.
It is live
So
stream, you
entertaining.
can catch it tomorrow.
That's right, you can watch the live stream.
We're gonna be talking about trees here in a little bit, you know, so.
Okay, well, I like trees.
No, I think that's it, Pat. Thank you very much, Brian.
All right, thank you.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
you guys coming out.
time tonight.
All right, let's move on. Item B is the traffic study. We wanna, what do we wanted, we're gonna table the traffic
At,
study?
well, at the last meeting, it was requested that Chief Sig, And we did have a meeting with the company, Alton Associates, that did the one for Wingo. And they shot us back a scope, because we were going to work on a scope,
Yeah.
get a cost estimate. And, we worked on a scope, we got back a cost estimate, I think it's $10,500 for that. I kind of told them that it may not be a this year decision, maybe January, but it could be sooner, just depending on circumstances. So they would collect data from, like North Second Street, Lasley, A Street, crosswalk, pedestrian walking somewhere in the middle of the Trend. And, one thing we didn't throw in there was, Ninth Street. Ninth Street is kind of an issue that we looked at a number of years ago. The state put up the, rubber hose things to check the speeds and traffic count, and Woodland let us, control the speed. Had a request just yesterday or the day before, it wasn't the day before, because it was Sunday, but yesterday, someone wanted to slow that speed down because of traffic there. Only I can think of. since
On Ninth, you're talking about
Yeah,
Ninth
no,
Street?
is put a four-way stop here at the corner. I'm not sure, how.
Is that how they collect the speed? They put little strips, because I'm looking
I think
at
they
this,
do. They would have done that unless they're, I don't know how else they would have done that, but it's at least a traffic count, but that was done a number of years ago. And we were told no, and I'm not even sure, we have the study somewhere, it's on our website, but I don't remember the circumstances on how KDOT even got involved in a city street like that. I know, I think we asked them that, but, well, anyway, this traffic study scope in front of you speaks for itself. It kind of tells you what's there and the cost. And,
So are we looking to approve this or not approve it tonight?
no, I was looking for input. Do you think Ninth Street should be included? Does that look like a good representation of the community, those streets? I also sent a copy to Bernard Irvin to review, because ultimately, he's the one that has to, say that it satisfies the statute of a traffic investigation, and does it need to include more streets? So I'm just, this is
Well,
just the first
including
bite.
more streets would increase the cost of the study.
I would increase it, yes, but if the person who's enforcing it doesn't believe this cuts the mustard, which he'll be here Thursday, I'll talk to him. I think we should get feedback from him and feedback from you all.
Well, my feedback, I've always wanted this, the residential areas are my focus, and, I know these are residential areas, everything, maybe the Second Street between Elm, even on Second Street between Elm Street and Gideon Way. Technically, your mom lives on that street, Matt, right? But all of Lakeview, I'd love to include all of Lakeview in that
Well-
study, because,
We did Lasley, 8th, 2nd, I think we just stuck with 3. Then there's been this request recently for, something that goes across the Vernon Bertrand there and
Yeah, this is consistent with what the chief identified, except Lasley's not on here, which I find
Is it
strange.
not?
yeah.
It's Palmer, Palmer, yes,
Palmer,
but that's a feeder, I would think we want,
Well, see, this is what we're supposed to do.
I think it seemed like we want Lasley, it seemed to be, because that's, and then, yeah, you talking about Ninth Street, this opens,
Yeah, it is a racetrack, it really is. So,
yeah,
It has been forever.
and there are quite a few houses with young children over there.
yeah,
I think, I don't know if it was Chief Sid or where I read it in here, I'd like to see his input on being able to enforce this, because I do believe, these areas there's a lot of fast traffic, but like Second Street, for instance, you said the average speed there was 40 miles an hour, speed limit's 30. So if we reduce that to 20, does that mean the average speed limit's gonna be 30 now? And it's the same thing with up
Well,
here on.
was he here to talk, because I
On Eighth Street.
read through his, either report or email or
His
email
email,
report.
so I guess your larger point is, even if we do this, is it gonna matter, because we have to enforce
Given
it?
that
So how is
enforcement has been a
enforcing it?
problem. Well, he said there's heavy enforcement, but it hasn't changed it much.
Yeah.
So who's in charge of, not that I try not to speed near my own house, but do we need to raise the fines? But what do you do? So I think you're right, it's a two-part problem.
yeah.
We can set the speed limit, but how do we,
And I think this might be an invitation to Chief said might. be-
Yeah, cause my question to the chief would be,
That's
what is
what I'd
the,
like to ask.
what is
before
the
we move
ratio
forward with-
between warnings and citation, and citations? Are we giving out a lot of warnings? I know, I mean, for example, on Saturday night, I talked to the officer that was on duty on Saturday night, and he said that he gave, 4 or 5 warnings, for stop sign violations at the new 4-way stop at Mount Calvary, people coming out of Shakespeare. It doesn't work because they're not stopping, that doesn't, but so I would wonder is it time to, look, you know, when we say 30 miles an hour, or whatever the case may be, we mean 30 miles an hour. I know,
Well, these are good questions, I can go ahead and say it to
I know
them.
cops don't like to write for
I
like,
was just really interested by his statement, because they are.
So I would suggest you carry this over to the next meeting?
and invite the chief to attend,
Sure.
And we'll have Bernard's input by then.
yes. Okay, storm sirens, item C.
All right, so at the last meeting, we discussed, Chief Marshall was here to discuss storm sirens, and we were looking at funding options and whether it would be sales tax or it would be sales tax and a combination of the fund. I did go through and kind of laid out how the sales tax fund has been used this year and is planning on being used. The bottom line is if you wanna authorize Marstall to order one of the sirens for $37,000, it should be charged to the sales tax fund solely. Okay, and not split, because the electric fund has had a lot of expenses, brand new truck, substation project. I'm not really sure on how that fund is gonna be, but that's what this whole, and so there's still a pending issue of the, damage from the storms. And as I was talking with Chuck today, he very gently reminded me that we're still gonna have to come up with $50,000 to pay our deductibles because of the 2 storm events. So the insurance is gonna pay for the repair minus our deductible. So it wouldn't necessarily be a sales tax when we charge it unless, you know, something else came up. And it may not be this year, I don't know how that's gonna work with the audit, but, there's gonna be money, $50,000 charged to water, sewer, electric, refuse and admin. And sometimes that gets, you know, it could be a way to stick it in here. So that's just a side one, I don't have that accounted for in here because I'm not sure that's where it's getting accounted for. But to answer the question, you can, I think it's safe to say that there'll be enough revenue to cover 1 storm siren, which will replace 2 storm sirens. For sure the one on Grand, and I can't remember the second one, whether that was at the library or a different location.
I thought it was the library.
Yeah, I think it's St. Third Street maybe, but, so it would replace, one would replace 2. So that was my task, was to,
Out of 6, is that right?
yeah, so we have 6, and once if you move to the new sirens, you'd only have 3. One here, Lakeview, Grand.
Yeah.
So, or not Lakeview, but the junkyard area there,
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
take the one out of,
Lakeview and the
Lakeview.
junkyard area. So with all this back and forth, I mean, I can go through this not at the meeting.
it would go by Denton's, and that would cover
Denton's, I couldn't think, I keep saying junkyard, but
Okay, there we go.
Mr. Denton's.
Yeah, Steve wouldn't take too kindly if that been called a junkyard.
And I do apologize, it's a little off in mind, but
When he calls me, I'll tell him.
it's a salvage. It's a
Or
salvage.
are we looking for approval on that?
Well, so I was tasked with saying, is there money available in this aware? There's money available and it would be here. If there's a consensus to have the chief order one that he proposed at the last meeting, we could do that, and if not, take no action.
I think we should get
I think we should go
One,
replace it.
one. Yeah, start with the one this year.
and then,
I'm sorry, I wasn't here last time, assuming that's the highest priority.
yeah, I believe, he thinks it's a high priority.
Yeah, I think he said it's based on coverage, that would be the best place to start.
Well, and also that the one at Grand is needing maintenance more often, so it's,
Right.
its life expectancy maybe. But Yeah, and this will come back up, we'll
Those
talk
are
about
the,
trees.
they were the oldest ones as well,
I
you
think
said.
so.
Cause the one in Lakeview and the one by the salvage yard, those are the two newest ones. If I'm not.
The
mistaken.
non-junkyard, I do.
Yeah, not the junkyard. So yeah, you have a consensus there.
Alright, so we can strike
You
that
said
down,
yes, right?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
37,000.
All right,
Thank you.
Elm Street sidewalk.
Well, so there's really no action to take on this. I think Bob was asked to give a cost estimate for that portion. I believe 12,000 is what he has, but we don't have it in writing. He gave me 12,000 when I was putting the sales tax spreadsheet together. I just say table it until we get something in
Could
writing.
I just ask why, what I read was down to that duplex, but now you're only talking one more little bit down to 6 that we already did the,
Well, the duplex would need like a retaining wall or something in front of it.
that's more
That'd be-
elaborate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So I
wondering.
would just say carry it over. There's no action to take without Bob being here and something in writing.
Walking trail, Sixth Street, to Lasley to Coleman Drive.
Yeah, so this is basically the gazebo over here in the park. We've had requests over the years and recently to connect that walking trail. His quote is $3,500, Bob's quote is $3,500, what he thinks it'll cost.
Just on the east side there? Or
Yeah.
would it be in the park, the walking trail, or would it be just next to the road?
It'd be, I didn't draw it in there, did he?
The grass line,
It'd be a distance from the road, but I don't know the dimensions as far as how far off. I think it's just like authorizing him to get bids for this, and then you can decide if it's something you wanna do. This would also end up in the sales tax fund. I put that under consideration projects. I'd like to see it going. I always thought that'd be a good place to cut in some parking and then have a sidewalk there too, but I think the sidewalk alone
Yeah, but
is.
he's right that people do that walk and it's weird for them even to have to
It's a
cross
mud
the
hole.
street.
It's a mud hole.
and I would say that there's a lot of families that use that
They
trail.
also have the street.
They're going down there, and I know,
And then they could connect into the sidewalk, not lastly, right? So
Yes,
it seems possible that you could do both if you put the walking path
far enough in,
further in.
you could do
Then
the
you
parking.
could add some parking too.
Well, if you think
wanted
it's
to.
appropriate. So what we're looking at for tonight,
you have everybody.
that was an estimate
that
for
lives
Bob,
there.
based on dimensions and thickness, of course. And he could just come back with the quote and
Could-
I would love that idea.
I would too, but could we see
100%.
to expand on your parking idea, if there's one portion of the park that very rarely, other than walking,
Yeah,
very rarely gets used, it's anything west of that gazebo. And maybe, like Matt said, parking and then a little buffer and then the trail.
but I'm gonna draw something up,
Okay.
and we'll bring it back.
Which is the way it's set up, if you look,
People
you
that
look
live
at
there
that
park
picture,
there.
Do what?
if you look at that picture, that's the way it's set up there.
Yep.
Walking path is
Is well
several
inside.
feet. You can even put parking.
And another volleyball court.
All right, park improvements, trees.
All right, so at the last meeting, there was discussion about adding trees to the park. Bob and I visited a nursery and talked to the gentleman. After discussing maples and, trying to think of some of the other basic trees that he suggested. Bob, the most expensive trees he sells, the gentleman over there is $250, and they're up to 14 feet, depending on what they are. Bob thinks if we do trees, that's what he'd like to have. The gentleman told us that if we bought a number of them, there could be a price break, we don't know what that number is. For the example, I put in $5,000 into under consideration. Of course, that would be 20 trees, that might get a price break, it might not, I don't know. But they were, trying to put maples and oaks were the main two. Although he's very high on the ginkgo tree, but I don't think it's approved to the park. And there's different types of
The what tree?
ginkgo.
The one with
I
the
put a video together and
big monkey brain.
I cut most of the ginkgo stuff out of it, but people
The
really like it.
tree. I don't
It's
know.
just, don't worry, it's just, I'll send you pictures, it's just a
Okay.
tree. But you have any preferences, on trees?
I just, if I know what that discount threshold is.
Well, we kind of need to know, you know, I guess,
But the ones that will grow well in Kansas, obviously, and,
not including the cottonwood.
Yeah, please don't cut.
but definitely around that time and buy, need something that will
Correct.
get up quickly there, I think.
I noticed they put pictures on the west side of those, of the,
So that drawing was submitted by Francis in your packet. There is a drawing of, so Bob wanted, we talked about doing a map. He said, I would just rather be allocated a certain amount of money and then they go down there and plant them. That was his preference. I told you, I had an original map. This one in the packet was submitted by Francis. I'm so sorry about, I
the
forgot
one
about that.
with the baseball, all the red dots. is-
All the red dots, and
Commissioner
the
Aaron?
type of trees, yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's saying fast growing trees, I don't know, maples and that sort of stuff. Bob's preference is to be allocated money and give him some guidance on trees. I think the oaks and maples would probably be the best bet initial. Cause this will at least be a multi-year thing. We're not gonna be able to satisfy the need, so.
All right,
So what are we looking for?
what are you looking, you just want?
Well, so, if you agree with his method of buying the $250 trees with the discount because of the height of them. So the man also told us the sweet spot is up until Thanksgiving time, although you can plant a tree year round, he said, it just takes more maintenance, care. The watering of them, he said, maybe a gallon a day. Bob has a setup, he said he could use to water these, maybe stake them in the ground. The question is if you're okay with the maples and the oaks for round one, and if so, what sort of dollar amounts are you looking at?
And is the city, or the city employees, planting them?
Yeah, so we have a digger truck that we explained to the gentleman, he said that would work perfectly. Because you want it wide enough so that you can position it the way you want, but you don't want it any deeper than the root or the ball that's on there, because if you do, it'll collapse and come down like that. So the St. Mary State Bank, back when that was still an entity, used to give the city $500 a year for trees, and then it stopped. But we would always plant them with that digger truck that they used to put in utility poles. So we're set up for that, and of course the water, and we got the employees for that too.
Maybe we wanna go back to the bank and see if they wanna start,
It's a different bank, different entity,
Ask both banks.
you know,
$1,000 a year.
you can ask for donations if you want, but initially,
Whoever wants our next road.
assuming you're interested in the $250 trees and not something else, how much would you like to buy, 10 trees, or 20 trees, or 12, or right up to the price break, whatever that might be?
Yeah, I would like to see what that price rate, at what point we hit that price break, but $5,000 worth of trees, that's 20 trees, I think that's,
He has 28 in there.
yeah, we don't, I mean, you don't have to go every single red dot, doesn't have to be covered with a tree, but.
Keep in mind that is Francis's layout.
Yes, right.
Bob would like just to have the money, the trees, and then go around and find locations,
Put them where,
but those dots were perfectly fine.
Did Bob give a number of how many trees that you would like?
$5,000, whatever that would buy. So that would buy at least 20 trees and hopefully a few more than that. That's what he would like to, and that would be in the sales tax as well, so yes.
okay,
Consensus to move forward?
Yes.
Okay, so, and if something doesn't work out, we won't do it, and we'll just come back to another meeting, but at this time, we will move forward with, the maples and the oaks, and then it probably won't be done by the 15th, so there could be discussions about if you wanna put them on Diamond 5, or if you wanna put them somewhere else, or a combination. So, thank you very much.
all right. Utility department generator.
Okay, we talked about getting a generator that would open and close the doors and turn the lights on in the utility, similar to what was done at the fire department. And this would also cover just the lights of the PD and their doors, but not the office part of it. This seems to be a pretty good value, there should be a quote in there, $15,000 from Perry Electric. I know it's in there.
Yes.
Big
15.
15, 20, 230.
So 15-230, yes. So there's, just like the fire department one was okay through the board and it's installed, and we had one power outage since it was installed and it worked perfectly. It did. So this one here, we'd have to put a concrete pad down, and Don has the location, I believe, worked out with Perry, and that we would get that in, and it would be much appreciated, because for all these years, you fumble around in the dark. We have a generator that usually starts, I mean, you plug it in there and it takes that, but it's just so much easier when it's instantaneous, and you get to the truck, you don't have to worry about the doors, and you can see everything, and then,
Just get a consensus.
if there's a consensus, no objection to get that,
On here.
alright, appreciate that.
All right, any reports?
The report would be at the next meeting, will be budget amendments, so there'll be more confusing spreadsheets and hopefully no issues. There was to be a gentleman here talking about septic tanks, but I didn't put on the agenda, we'll cover that another time. We did the C-CLIP project walkthrough last Friday. Essentially it's done, there's a sheet I put in the packet to discuss. We have something to talk, Mike has sewer report on these he handed out these.
I know that we're going with the BG with their whole thing, they're gonna get down to the plan, 15 feet long, so. But I was asked to come up with some bids last time, some of this stuff, and I came up with some bids, I just wanted to give it to you.
Okay.
So you can look at them, just maybe next meeting or whatever,
Yeah,
just wanted to present them to you.
please do.
This one's for, we talked about the grid classifier. This is the one for the grid classifier. This is the quote that this company gave us last year when I asked her to give me the quote, and it's good for 30 days. Otherwise, when 30 days runs out, we'll have to have them redo it. So rather than her having to work on a totally new bid, she said we had 30 days to give this one.
This is the washer compactor.
No, this is the grid classifier. This is the grid classifier. It's been due for having to be rebuilt for a couple of years now. So it's something that's gonna have to be done here. I would say definitely within the year.
And this is the only,
This is the last quote that we received. That I had them quote me. It's been almost a year now. But
This was from June 21st of 23,
Well,
or when was this?
this is the quote, yeah, I guess the quote was in June of 23, but she told me that we had 30 days on this. If we still wanted to pull the trigger on it within a month.
Okay.
Otherwise, if we don't do it, then I'd have to send it and have it requoted again.
is this something we need additional bids for, or is it just we want this work done and they're the ones who do it, this is how much it costs?
I've had other quotes. I had another quote from Brett Ollendorf. He also was quoting on it, but I didn't like his quote because it was higher, so I just went with this one. And I just like them because they did both. They manufacture it, they actually get the material, and they have their guys come out and do the work at the same time. They just seemed like better company to come out and do it all in one shot.
I don't want this to come across, I'm not trying to degrade you or anything, Mike, but generally, when, even if you have other bids, me personally, I like to see them,
Okay.
just,
I can have it.
and then we go, majority of the time, I think we're gonna go with what your recommendation will be, but since we're pulling the trigger on the money,
Yeah.
I think it's best if we see all the bids that come in for this kind
I
of
can
thing.
have, Brett Ollendorf also give us another quote.
Okay.
He'd be willing to do it. He's also giving me a quote on a new belt press as well. So anyway, that's that.
Okay,
And then this is for the compactor for the race ring.
thanks, Mike.
Everything has to cost around $55,000
Can all of, when, you know, we're talking about all these upgrades to the facility, can all of this be integrated into that, or do we need to get these done because, you know, we're not gonna be doing those anytime soon, but could all of this be integrated into when we do upgrades to the plant?
You mean with through B and G?
Yeah,
That's the confusing part, is that, you know, we weren't really sure where they were and how long and how much of it that we were gonna have them do once they gave us their quote. In the meantime, I was asked to start getting quotes together for things that we know
Right,
don't necessarily need to be done. So I don't know, I guess it's up to you and B and G, and myself to decide what is it that we're actually gonna do. Because, you know, in my opinion, the priority is the Lakeview lift station. And as far as getting the phosphorus removal done, I mean, I know that they're in on it.
So he's asking if these upgrades or improvements will carry over to the new design of the plant. We really don't know.
See,
but-
right.
But it seems to me, they're meeting on the 15th, but this only lasts for 30 days, and then we have 3
Oh,
weeks.
I think
before-
that can,
But these are core components of the plant.
Without,
Big pieces of hardware, it's not, unless we change the whole,
only reason that one there was the grid classifier, they told me I had 30 days on that quote.
Yeah.
So I said, let me give it to you so you can look at it and see it, as I didn't know where B and G was at the time.
are you suggesting we talk with Daniel to
Well,
see if he's,
my assumption is, I don't really understand exactly, but unless they come in and say, we need to have an entire different way that we handle material mechanically in the plant, I don't see how this would be anything that would contradict or
Well,
push
keep in
against what
mind
you're
that-
suggesting.
if you approve the go ahead on that plant and all that sort of stuff, that's probably an 18-month process that, you know, he's
Right.
gonna have to keep the old one going.
But I think Gerard's point is, we don't wanna spend $110,000 and find out that somehow
Yeah.
it's
Don't
a
disagree.
little different from what it is.
right.
So,
Are you suggesting
if there's a quick way that he could look at these
Daniel?
things, together.
I'll tell you right now that he had a totally different design altogether for the grid. The system that removes grid. They want,
Grid classifier.
they don't want to, the system that we have now would be completely, changed entirely.
So that potentially would be $55,000, which could be,
If you went with B and G and went with their design, then you wouldn't wanna do that.
well, that's significant.
Yeah.
So I guess we need to know more.
We need to know.
But the travel,
How long does it take to get that in, if you order that?
that I don't know. I'd have to ask her how long it would take.
And who would put it in?
Their company would also, that's the labor and the
That's
material
okay,
and
yeah,
everything.
that's
That's one of the reasons because I've already talked to both Brett, the Ollendorf, and I've also talked to Shauna from Haynes, and they provide the material, the manufacturer, and they also provide the labor.
When you're saying, I mean, we could do these projects and B and G could say, yeah, go ahead and do them, that won't affect anything we're doing, or they may come back and say, no, wait, don't do anything until, you know, we wanna look at everything.
Yeah. The one for sure I can say, that wouldn't be changed is the one, the compactor, the wash compactor for the rake stream.
Mhm.
I know that one wouldn't affect anything that B and G would be doing as far as their refabbing of the plant.
Okay.
And that is something that I really would like to have done sooner than later, because it's a matter of possibly the state not liking the fact that we have too much organic material.
Would you try us to fund the funding this?
Yeah.
They don't really work.
I know you don't wanna hear this, but it may help us get the
So
funding.
far, I'm not
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
All kidding aside, that is very possible. I mean,
Yeah, no, I know.
our plant was down, I couldn't press for a month, and if I called the state, which I'm getting cleared to do, and tell them, no, we've had this problem, the reason we're violating on this, and this, we've already had the EPA that already came out last year, and because we violated so many times, and that red flags us. So we could tell the state, look, we have this problem. And I've talked to other operators that have also said the same thing, that the more that you're with the state and tell them we have this problem, we have a problem, you're on the list more for getting money. But whether or not we qualify, I mean, I don't know.
So this, when you say the compact should be done sooner rather than later, it still seems to me, can you wait until after you
Maybe
meet with them on
on,
October 15th?
We've gone, I've been here for 6.5 years and we've gone that long. since-
So I would be more comfortable if they had the meeting, and then we could have you and B and G comment on these two
Yeah.
things in light of their.
I agree.
I just wanted to give them to you.
So it is Mike, so it's technically carried over to the next regular meeting, which is what we were gonna do anyway.
Right.
The difference would be
Yeah,
Daniel,
I just wanted to have them in front of you, I don't know if I need to give you 2 more for them.
Bruce, give them to Murray, so,
give us to us, we'll get to Mike.
thank you,
So
Mike.
other than that, what we discussed, what else is going on with the plant of interest?
Well, the biggest thing that I've been dealing with here recently is the fact that our polymer pump for the belt press has been down for almost a month. The old one wasn't working. I don't know if I can do the right stuff.
We need it tomorrow, we have tomorrow.
Okay, fine.
We'll do it tomorrow. So also, on tonight's appropriations for the VFDs that were approved at the previous meeting you discussed?
Yes.
Are they installed, or they just been ordered, or?
We have them up and they were delivered, we have them, it's just a matter of us getting them installed, and that's whenever.
So that was 17,000 or something like that?
I can't
Who's gonna
remember.
install those?
We can do that.
Okay.
And I may have to have, Alexander, Darren, he may have to come out and just hope he could probably run the wires, or he might have to run the wires, or just leave them there for us to hook up in the event that we have to change the pump. But we have them whenever, at least we have them.
The VFDs. Then he has a polymer pump he'd been having issues with, and it's like they sent the wrong one to replace it, was that the issue, or?
So if my original pump wasn't working, we tried working on it, couldn't get it to run, and so we decided to just buy a whole new pump, something that was more simple, and we ordered one through, WaterWise. They sent us a pump, it worked for a day, and then it broke immediately, so I had them come back out, come to find out the pump wasn't the right pump, so she didn't charge us for that pump. Sent us another one that was more compatible with the polymer. The polymer that we were using wasn't, the pump wasn't compatible with the polymer that we were using, and it ate up one of the hoses. And there's some of the parts, and it got clogged, so it broke immediately. So she sent us another pump, and it took even more time to get another pump out, and so we were down for even longer period of time. Meanwhile, the plant really went upside down on us, and it's not good. I don't know what, I just sampled today, and we'll find out what our results is gonna be. But I have to tell the state that that's the reason that we violated. So
So you do have this new pump in now or no?
it is in now, we've been pressing for the last 2-3 days now, or since Friday, at least we've been
How
pressing.
often can you sample to see how things are tracking?
We don't have really instrumentation to take and measure ourselves. If I wanted to do something like that, I could get in touch with Aramod, and I could take some samples and I could bring them down there and they would test them for me. They could test ammonia, and, they wouldn't be able to test, total suspended solids or E. coli, but they could test ammonia. And,
So we don't, at this moment, it sounds like you're telling us, we don't know the exact status of the plant.
we don't know the exact status of the plant. I'll tell you that it's not good, just from the looks of it. It's because we haven't pressed for almost a month. Because that one
So
polymer pump.
I'm sorry, I don't understand all the parts, but the pump that you just got will deal with that. You don't need to have this
No,
other
We- we-
compactor.
no, that's separate.
Okay.
That's just another thing that's been on the list for a long time, we never did, but it needs to be done.
Okay.
But the polymer pump, the belt press and being able to de-water and, is very important. So we can't, the plant just this.
But there's nothing else we can do to you right now other than what you've done. We're just hoping that this pump is gonna cover things.
Continue, I would like to, the pump that she sent me, she's giving me a UPS label that I can send it into another place and get it rebuilt so that it can handle it, but it was more expensive. It was a better pump, but the one that she sent us was a smaller pump, but it's compatible and so it works. And so I'm gonna call her and talk to her tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure if I wanna send, the one that didn't work in and have it rebuilt so that it can handle a polymer, or if I just want to order another pump like I have now because it works. Cause I'd like to have another one on hand. As a matter of fact, I've heard that KDHE also recommends that you have another pump on hand.
Just in case you run into this problem.
Same problem that I have
How much are they, just,
now, $1,900. The other one that failed on us
you
was
get more than one?
pump.
I would too.
I go with at least two
It
backups.
sounds like this.
The other one was more expensive, it was a bigger pump, it was 28 or $3 grand.
But still, relative to those other
Right, of
prices,
course.
this is a critical point
Right.
of
Is
failure.
it built in the USA or,
I think it's built in Texas,
Okay.
so I'm not sure.
the team's
Sort of.
Outside the US.
Yes,
I
that was.
don't know if it's,
Longshoremen's strike.
I didn't say that.
They're on the strike. and-
Oh, I thought you were ripping on Texas.
I'm not.
I was, but that's all
Oh,
right.
no, I have no opinion, it's fine. Alright, so there's been lots of complicated situations and frustrating things at the sewer plant.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I've been turning the wrench on constantly, running around, putting out fires and not really getting anywhere.
But you believe that the pumps will get you to do the pressing and,
Yeah, as long as this one sticks with it, doesn't break on me like the other one did, it works good.
Yeah.
I like it, it's more simple, it gives us a lot more room. But the belt press itself is 20 years old, 22 years old.
22.
And, you know, I'm always crossing my fingers, waiting for the next thing to break.
Could I suggest that we get at least one more of these pumps right now?
Yeah,
At least
I can-
what are the
Rather than
prices of the
wait
pumps?
and see.
Yeah.
$1,900, yeah, I agree with Matt, get a
It's either
couple
that
more.
or I send in, the other option was to send in the pump that she sent me, the larger one, which I like simplicity. This one you had to hook it up to your phone and you can dial it in. I don't really know that much about it. They set it up for me. It's either that or I just either get another pump that's similar to the one that we have now, or send the one that she sent us in and have it rebuilt so that it can handle the polymer that we're using. So I mean, but I think we would have to pay for it.
You'd rather get the $1,900
I'd go with two 1900
I'm
ones.
gonna call her right tomorrow and talk to her and see what the benefit is.
Yeah, but I agree, let's get a couple of those $1,900 ones, have them on hand so we don't,
Yeah,
boom, one goes down, we got one.
yeah, the other thing is, as far as dewatering is concerned, is the sludge pumps that actually pull the sludge from the digester through and into the belt press. They were about $2,000 a piece, and I was replacing at least one or two of them every year, replacing them. And so I was going to Vermont to get those. They now don't sound like they really they're not carrying them, they're not really a distributor anymore, so I'm going to a different distributor. That I just touched base with, and they just got back to me today, and the pump, they just quoted us $2,800 for each pump. And I'm just gonna order two of them, because I just go through pumps every year, it's either that, or, when B&G goes through the plan, but that's another thing that they were gonna discuss, is totally different system altogether for dewatering.
Well, because when they sold us on the idea of doing the study, they say the current regulations, the plant is built almost backwards. You know, because we put oxygen or something in it, and the new one, you wanna take it all out. So it's not unexpected they would say that, I just don't know timing of all this.
Now, when it comes to the front side of the plant, when they're talking about phosphorus removal, the best idea is to be able to do things biologically, so that the plant of itself, the bugs in the plant will remove the phosphorus by itself. That's what these newer plants are designed to do. In order to do that, it takes a lot, that's why they're talking about spending $2.5 million down there. So I don't know exactly what else that they're gonna have involved, and how much of it is still gonna be an old plant by the time they're done. But anyways, it could be a matter of injecting chemicals. There's a lot to it, but the reason that, what Maurice is talking about is that we would have to do away with the new grit classifier, the new way of getting rid of grit. Our old system wouldn't work because it aerates and that would put a new system in, it doesn't aerate, so it's kind of, it's a whole total refab of the plant, or just to get phosphorus down to where the government wants it. So, you know, I mentioned to Daniel before about experimenting with chemicals rather than going through that entire process, and what the upfront cost would be on that, how much would it cost for, it's a matter of putting a barrel of polymer there and a pump, and then dialing it in to get the phosphorus down. It all depends, it's a lot of running tests. But according, the other thing is math. It's on a 12-month rolling average at 1 milligram per liter of phosphorus per 1 million gallons per day. So our plant isn't seeing anywhere near that. We're only seeing 200, on an average of 180,000 gallons a day. So that's right, that right there makes it more lenient. So we wouldn't have to be down to 1 milligram per liter every month. It would be 1 milligram, that's 1 milligram per liter per million gallons per day. We're only seeing 180,000 gallons a day. Now that just makes it, it'd be somewhere maybe around 3 milligrams per liter of phosphorus rather than 1. And we don't know if we're already meeting that or not, or how close we are. So it may just be a matter of, you know, injecting some chemicals just to get it down a little bit. So I don't know. So, anyway, this is too much to talk about it. So.
Thanks for the
I just
update.
wanna make sure,
It's intriguing stuff.
I
Yeah,
just wanna
it's
make
pretty
sure that you have what you need right now to try to,
My big
it's a
thing is-
fairly important function within the
Yeah.
community.
My big thing is just everything up and running that we have existing currently, and that's why I'm presenting these quotes, just so I can say, hey, I need it to be working.
Yeah, so sounds like pumps are priority, and then after B and G visits, we can
Yeah.
see what else makes sense.
Okay.
And we're gonna carry your, quotes over the next meeting if you get all of them from the other companies. You know, and send them to us and we'll get them in the packet.
Maybe put it on the agenda, put it as an agenda item.
The final report I have is I realized there was an omission in the sales tax numbers. $3,200 for those wreaths. But the good news is they were picked up today by traditional trucking and will be here soon.
There you go.
That's all I have.